Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Students, now let us talk about the order to cash cycle, which we mentioned earlier. That is the order cycle or order to cash cycle, which is from the physical distribution performance cycle towards the customer, and customers would actually be generating the cash. So there are actually 13 principal activities which constitute the OTC cycle. OTC here means the order to cash cycle or order cycle, if you want to simplify that term. The first one would be the process inquiry and quote. This step in the process precedes the actual placement of the order by the customer. So process inquiry and quote, that means there would be some tentative order. It would be in the form, it could either be in the form of an inquiry or it could be in the form of a quotation. So both things are, so you may have heard about RFI, request for inquiry, or RFQ, request for the quotation. Both terms are used interchangeably depending upon different scenarios. So it would be actually the first step. Actually, it precedes the real step, that is the actual step of placement of an order by the customer. When you say a placement of an order by the customer, you are actually talking about the confirmed order. Before that, it could be some tentative inquiry, on the basis of which the customer might be looking at the price or quality or some sample of your product. So this is actually the first step in it. Then the second one would be to receive, enter, and validate order. That is actually the order confirmation. This step involves the placement and receipt of the order. Here the organization will actually say that, let's say I have 50 inquiries with me, out of which 20 have matured. When they say it has matured, they are actually talking about that we have received, entered, and validated the order. The order receipt is with us. The order has been confirmed by the customer. Then the third step, which will actually lead to materials management, or you would say the production plans, reserve inventory and determine delivery dates. Now, the production planning or the material or the manufacturing support will actually come into play here. You need to reserve inventory and determine delivery dates. When you say you are reserving the inventory, you are actually talking about reserving the raw material with the supplier. It may or may not come at the site of that organization yet. So जब आप ये कह रहे हैं कि रिजर्व कर लिया इन्वेंट्री को, इसका ये मतलब है कि मैंने अपने प्रोडक्शन प्लान में अपनी मुख्तलिफ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग लाइन्स में, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट्स में एक स्पेस, एक प्लेस, लेट्स से this order will run in my production from day 13 to day 17, depending upon the quantity. Let's say the quantity is 5,000 units and it would run for 4 days in my production lines. And before day 13th, let's say the order was confirmed on day 1. And what about the first 12 days? In the first 12 days, the order which has been confirmed on day 1, afterwards it would be placed with my suppliers. The raw material will be in-house till day 12. So day 13 to day 17 would be the time when I will be running this order. That is what is expected, depending upon the standard time for that kind of an order. And I will be determining the delivery dates. Afterwards, it will be going for the physical distribution. So delivery date would be after 17th day. So उस हिसाब से आप अपने production plan को set कर रहे होंगे. So this step in the process has traditionally been referred to as order processing. In the case when the seller has inventory to fill the order, the delivery date is based on the concept of available to deliver. Expected available to deliver. आप कब उसे complete करते हैं, उसको ATD या available to deliver का scenario कहा जाता है. Then, if the seller does not have the inventory but knows when it will be produced internally or delivered from the supplier to the seller's distribution center, the delivery date is based on the concept of available to promise. मैंने जो अभी आपको example दी है, that would fit into ATD or ATP. Of course, it would fit into ATP, available to promise. I haven't produced it yet, but it is the part of my production plan. And after day 17, I can actually promise the delivery of that product. Number 4 would be to consolidate orders. This step examines customer order to determine opportunities for both freight consolidation as well as for batch warehousing picking schedules. Both of these consolidation opportunities offer cost efficiencies for the seller. First of all, consolidation में आप देख क्या रहे हैं कि can I consolidate that order? Transportation point of view से organizations they actually look for a truckload TL. They actually want to avoid LTL. LTL की जब आप बात करते हैं तो you are actually talking about less than truckload phenomena. क्या ये जो order है will it fit the whole size of the container so that my transportation cost would be, मैंने एक कंटेनर मंगवाया है जिसके अंदर कैपेसिटी इज फॉर 2000 यूनिट्स बट द ऑर्डर इज ऑफ 1000 यूनिट्स ओनली. दैट मीन्स उस ट्रांसपोर्टेशन की कॉस्ट मेरे लिए एक्चुअली डबल है. द ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट वुड बी इट इज एक्चुअली डबल. सो कैन आई कंसोलिडेट दैट ऑर्डर? मैं किसी और ऑर्डर के साथ इसको मिला सकता हूं. लेट्स से 1500 1600 या 1800 तक मैं इसे लेके जा सकता हूं. इज इट पॉसिबल कि जो कस्टमर का ऑर्डर है उस डेस्टिनेशन पे देयर इज अनदर कस्टमर एंड आई कैन एक्चुअली प्रॉमिस द डिलीवरी डेट सच दैट कि वो दोनों ऑर्डर्स एक दूसरे के साथ मैच करें और आई कैन शिप इट टुगेदर? क्या मैं उसकी कंसोलिडेशन कर सकता हूं? एंड अगेन उसमें अगर आपके पास इस तरह का कोई सिनेरियो नहीं है तो कंपनीज दे एक्चुअली लुक फॉर ट्रांसशिपमेंट सिनेरियोज एज वेल. ट्रांसशिपमेंट सिनेरियो आई मे हैव डिस्कस्ड इट अर्लियर, लाइक फ्रॉम A to D the shipment has to go. This is the direct one. Rather than going direct one, it would be profit. If it is profitable for me if I ship it from A to C and then from C there is a cross dock or kind of a warehouse where it would be picked and delivered to D. If it is a cost effective mode for me, organizations will actually prefer it. So opportunities are in terms of cost efficiencies for the seller or for the manufacturer. The fifth principle would be plan and build loads. This step takes the freight consolidation opportunities identified in 4 in the last principle and the delivery dates given in 3 and develop a transportation plan. So you take into account the delivery dates which you have promised in 3 and what you have actually consolidated your shipment in 4. And then you will plan for your transportation. What would be the transportation mode? What would be the lead time? That would be a part of that transportation plan. Sixth one would be the route shipments. This step can follow or be concurrent with 5. ये इकट्ठा भी हो सकता है. Here the load, usually the transportation vehicle is assigned to a specific route for delivery to the customer. आप routing define कर देते हैं. Routing आपने ये concurrent भी हो सकता है 5 में जैसे मैंने पहले बात की है. Rather it should be from A to D डायरेक्टली और फ्रॉम A to C एंड देन टू D. तो ये मेरे ट्रांसपोर्टेशन प्लान के अंदर भी है और उसके अंदर ये राउटिंग भी डिफाइन कर दी गई है. द सेवंथ वन वुड बी टू सेलेक्ट कैरियर्स एंड रेट शिपमेंट्स. कैरियर्स वी हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट इट. पब्लिक कैरियर्स हो सकते हैं, प्राइवेट कैरियर्स हो सकते हैं, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कैरियर्स हो सकते हैं. एवरीवन हैज देयर ओन प्रोज एंड कॉन्स. तो व्हाट टाइप ऑफ कैरियर यू आर लुकिंग फॉर? Whether it is public, private, or private means it would be owned by that organization or enterprise, or it would be some contractual. It is because of the contractual arrangement between that company and some 3PL, some third-party logistics. Eighth one would be to receive products and warehouses. This step gains importance when an ATP has been given to the customer's order, available to promise. जब आपने एक्सपेक्टेडली प्रॉमिस किया है एक्सपेक्टेड डेट के ऊपर के योर इन्वेंट्री विल बी, योर प्रोडक्ट विल बी रेडी बाय दैट टाइम, तो रिसीविंग प्रोडक्ट एट वेयर हाउसेज इट बिकम्स इंपॉर्टेंट. अगर ATD है अवेलेबल टू डिलीवर, वो तो पहले से रेडी इन्वेंट्री है, तो द टाइम इफ इट बिकम्स वेयर हाउस में आपकी रिसीव होना प्रोडक्ट का, वो तब इंपॉर्टेंट है जब आपने आफ्टर सम प्रोसेस the inventory is actually ready, the product is actually ready. So ATPs के लिए available to promise type of product के लिए it is important कि वो warehouse में receive कब हुआ है. And the order management system is checked to see if there are any orders outstanding that needs that particular product. So that is important कि आपके distribution center में कोई चीज unfulfilled तो नहीं रह गई. Ninth one would be to pick product. This step uses the output from 3 and 4, that is the delivery dates and the transportation plan, as well as the fifth one, that was the routing, to determine the order picking schedules in the distribution center. Obviously, based on your transportation plan and delivery dates, आप अपने distribution centers में एक schedule determine कर देंगे that will actually the order picking. Okay, you can pick your order at this point of time from that distribution center. Load vehicle, generate shipping documents, verify credit and ship. Now this is one of the documentation scenarios कि आप वेरीफाई करते हैं डॉक्यूमेंटेशन को व्हीकल के कि उसमें कितना लोड था और कितना शिप हुआ है. देन द 11th प्रिंसिपल वुड बी रिसीव एंड वेरीफाई प्रोडक्ट एट कस्टमर साइड. कस्टमर ने अपनी साइट के ऊपर रिसीव कर लिया उसे और उसे वेरीफाई भी कर दिया कि दिस इज द प्रोडक्ट एंड द लोड और द क्वांटिटी इज द सेम. देन 12th वन वुड बी टू इंस्टॉल प्रोडक्ट इफ इट रिक्वायर्स इंस्टॉलेशन. अगर कोई ऐसी प्रोडक्ट है जो कि इलेक्ट्रॉनिक प्रोडक्ट्स, इफ इन दैट केस, तो it must be installed at the customer location, and most at this point in the OTC cycle where installation takes place. So if it is required, then the OTC cycle would actually have this as well. 13th one would be about the documentation, that is the invoice. This steps is the culmination of the OTC cycle for the buyer and seller.